Hi.
Hello, everyone. Are we starting? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Hi. Hello, everyone,
Hi, everyone.
and welcome back to Personal Beauty. This week we are back with another very special guest. This is my husband. This is Jay. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a discussion about Korean men's makeup, but more specifically just men's makeup in general. So before we get started, I'm going to introduce a little bit about Jay, of course, and then we'll talk a little bit about the products, and then we'll do a little demonstration. So Jay, if you'll introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, everyone. So for those of you that were with us last week, my name is Jay, and I am Shannon's husband. I'm a Korean-Canadian African hybrid, and I know nothing about men's makeup, so this should be a really interesting one.
You don't know nothing because you've done your makeup a couple times. Give the people an honest history.
Okay, so once upon a time, I used to be a commercial model, and I was at it for about a good 5-6 years. So technically, I had a lot of makeup products put on me, but I've never used it for myself. I could not distinguish a makeup brand or product if it was just written out in front of me. So,
So that's what I'm here for. We're actually going to talk a little bit about it today. So before we get into all of this, I want to talk a little bit about how the Korean men's beauty industry is starting to shift a little bit. There was a study done recently where it sampled around 80% of Korean men. And they discovered that the majority, by a large majority, they actually reviewed that men's beauty or just attractiveness in general is a skill. It's an asset to you, not only in life but also in the workplace. Have you noticed any of this in Korea?
well, I think first and foremost, there's a unique culture when it comes to resumes in Korea. So I think Korea is one of the only countries in the world where you have to insert a photo of yourself, like a passport photo, and attach it to your resume. So if anything, they have like a Korean saying that says 외모도 스펙이다, which literally means even your appearance can be like a little etching on your resume.
Yeah, exactly. So I think like there's sort of that ideology here that beauty kind of gets you a little bit further in life, which is part of the reason that men's makeup here is starting to take up a massive increase in popularity. So more specifically speaking, there was a study done in 2024, I think it was, but it's actually men's beauty brands in Korea, specifically Olive Young, and specifically makeup brands, have actually seen an increase of 110% in purchasing power recently. So that's a pretty big jump. So we're actually going to introduce Jay to a little bit of these makeup products today. I want to start off with this one. So I actually bought this one for Jay today. But the reason I got this was because I reached out to a couple of my Korean friends and also some of my foreigner friends that are living here that use makeup regularly. These guys all recommended this brand. It's called Be Ready. It's blue and white. If you guys go into Olive Young, you can check it out. But this is one of the coolest products that I saw. So basically, it's called a BB cream. And a BB cream, this one you actually roll up like this. But a BB cream is basically a tinted sunscreen. So this is supposed to be a little bit thinner and lighter than your typical makeup look, because of course we want to make Jay look very pretty today. But we also want to preserve his natural kind of rugged handsomeness. I don't want to take away from that by making him look a little bit too dolled up. So we're going to be using a BB cream instead. So I will just show you this here. I'm just going to, I'll just put it on the back of my hand so you guys can see the texture first. Brand new, so it's not pumping yet. So you can kind of see it like that. So it comes out like a lotion, and I don't know if you guys can see, but Jay, you probably can.
Yeah.
There's little tiny beads in there, and these beads or granules actually dissolve and color match. So this was also one of the reasons that I got this for Jay. If any of you guys have ever been to Korea before, there's a very limited shade selection when it comes to foundation, for men and for women. But for men, there was only about 3, and none of them fit your complexion, so I decided to get you something that would color match instead. Typically, this would be applied with a brush or with your hands because it is more like sunscreen. I'm going to use my trusty foundation blender, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. All right. Ooh, I just got that all over you. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, so we're just going to start blending it in. You guys will see it goes on white, but then it starts to actually blend into his skin tone a little bit better. Have you ever done like special effects makeup or anything like that?
I can't recall. Actually, no, you know what? Last year, Halloween, that would be the closest to special effects I've ever done.
Can you turn for me? Face me? Yeah, there we go. So last year for Halloween, we actually did a makeup look together. We were both vampires. So for the vampire makeup look, I actually gave him a lot of a white face. It was really just my foundation that I put all over him. But of course, it looked very pale on you. This actually looks really nice. I like this finish. It's not going to translate, I think, as well to the camera, but up close, this looks really, really nice. So we're just going to continue patting that in. You've worked in the Korean kind of corporate world for a while. Have you noticed like men that wear makeup regularly?
My CEO wears makeup.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Is it like obvious? Does he do like a full beat with lashes and?
No. It's not to that degree. But
turn towards the bit. Okay.
So even before, I think it was the first day of my job or something like that. So he came in for the interview, and he was just looking white, like really, really white and pale. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's his complexion. As it turns out, it was either sunscreen or BB cream.
Probably
so
a little bit of both.
Yeah, that's why it was so pale.
Okay.
And I remember in my last company, they always recommended that I try to put something on. I just never did. Yeah.
So you actually had, as a man in a company, somebody recommend that you wear makeup?
Oh, I had so many suggestions. They were like, don't you want to get a wig? Don't you want to get Don't you want to get a hair transplant? Don't you want to put on some makeup?
Okay. I'm going to get a little bit more just so I can blend onto your nose area.
Okay.
I don't know how this is coming across on camera, but it actually looks really nice. Okay. How does it feel?
Feels like sunscreen.
Yeah.
Like very light.
Yeah, so the purpose of this is to act more like a sunscreen. The SPF in this is about 50, and it's a PA plus rating of about 4.
So that's 4 hours?
Roughly, yeah. So the PA plus, for those of you guys that don't know, actually represents the amount of time that a sunscreen will last. All right, so that concludes the base. Very, very light. We're not really trying to change his complexion a whole lot. It definitely brightened him up a bit, and his shirt, because I got it. Oh, I'm making it worse, sorry. Because we did get it on him, his shirt a little bit. But basically, we just want to start with a nice base, something that looks a little bit lighter, something that looks a little bit healthier, gives him a nice glow, kind of evens out the complexion a little bit. From there, I'm actually going to move on to bronzer. Because Jay likes to typically have more of a tan, I do want to kind of capitalize on that a little bit. I've used this on you before. Okay. Don't panic. What would you say in Korea is a kind of a go-to makeup style for men?
I think it's one of two. It's either the idol makeup. So guys looking very, striking. Like as if they're performing on stage kind of thing?
Yeah, so sharper features, white makeup base.
Yeah, or natural, like as if they're not wearing anything, which is, I guess, kind of similar to women.
Yeah. I think for women, it's like they kind of bring a lot of attention to the center of their face because they don't want their faces to look large or their heads to look large. They also kind of capitalize on like the peachy light colors. I don't know if men wear blush as much, but women definitely do. All right, can you go like this for me? I'm actually gonna try to chisel your cheekbones even more, not that you need it. Can you turn? I'm sorry, I can't. There's a table here. Okay. So just let it be known, guys, that I am not a makeup artist. Just relax your face now. But I'm just gonna try to do something that makes his features stand out a little bit more. So I'm actually gonna define his jawline by creating a little bit of a shadow underneath. So for men, I think it kind of is a worldwide thing, but like a chiseled jawline or jaw structure is actually a sign of beauty or masculinity. All right, turn that way for me. Not all the way, because then I can't see your face. All right. Do you have any questions for the viewers, Jay?
I think my question for you guys would be, are you guys into men that actually take care of their skin? And because in Korea, for example, there's another Korean term called 구루민족, which literally means grooming people. Like fashion, pepi, for example, is fashion people, but there's 구루민족, which is for the groomers. For the ladies in the chat, do you guys resonate with that? Is it okay for your boyfriends or your partners to put on makeup and take care of their skin? I think that'll be my question.
All right, look at me. I want to make sure it's relatively even. So I'm just creating very light shadows, Jay. You don't have to worry. I'm not making you look crazy.
Okay.
Next product that we're going to be using is the Be Ready Pride Up Eyebrow. So I noticed a lot with men's packaging and promotion. It's also very different. The women's is all like flowers and it's a lot of colors, and the men's was a lot more muted. And the packaging is either like blue, black, or tan. And there's kind of no in between. But this is one of the ones that really stood out to me because Jay has very prominent and beautiful eyebrows.
Thank you.
So I did want to make sure that when we were doing his eyebrows that I could actually color match, because most of the colors in Korea tends to be very, very light. There's not much of an importance, especially for women and for men, I assume, on having like really thick defined brows like there is in the West. So even with me, like my eyebrows are very blonde, but I usually fill them in with a darker color. In Korea, they actually do the opposite. They tend to do more of a lighter tone. It kind of softens the facial features, which I think actually complements Korean women. But I think with people like Jay and I with sharper features, it actually looks a little bit better, more defined. I'm realizing now that there's quite a lot of commentary. I think Mark, or my dad, is in the chat. Hey, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
So hard to cover blemishes. The base looks super clean. You're getting a compliment.
Thank you.
Have you ever tried BB cream or tinted moisturizer? I actually used to only wear exclusively BB cream, and now you have officially tried it. So I do think it feels a lot lighter, a lot more breathable. You don't tend to get that sort of cracking cake mix appearance as well. So I'm a big fan of BB cream, although it does not cover blemishes very well. Let's see. Twinsies, both wearing black. Yeah. Yeah.
Despite your personal color lady saying you shouldn't wear black,
I know.
She's still reverting to her habits.
Listen, I didn't have time to just completely change my closet. I did place an order on Amazon recently, though. Jay is a good sport, confident in front of the camera.
Thank you, Nathan.
Well done. What eyebrow pencil do you recommend? So this is a little bit of a kind of opposite option. For me, even though I do my eyebrows every single day, I use actually this little angled brush right here, a spoolie, and eyeshadow. The reason for that is because my eyebrows are so light, I don't really need like a crisp line. I just want them to look a little bit fuller. So I typically use a light powder, but for eyebrow pencils for men, this is the one that I would recommend. I spent like 2 hours in Olive Young when I was buying these products. So I did try everything out. I'll just show you guys here what that looks like. So this is a typical brow pencil. When you swatch it on your hand, for example, the color kind of comes out lightly.
Oh, okay.
But the purpose of brow pencils is to make little tiny hair-like strokes, versus I usually just use eyeshadow. But for you, we don't need to make your brows fuller. We just need to clean up the shape a little bit. When's the last time you did your brows?
It's been a while.
I actually might have to get a little bit closer for this one, though. Yeah, so I'm just going to move in right here. All right. Can you read the questions in the chat for me?
I cannot see with my peripherals. I'm sorry. We're not neglecting y'all, I promise.
Okay, fine. I have a question for the chat. So now that my dad's in the chat, I have a question for you, Dad. My dad is one of the people that is all about Halloween. So he goes really hard when it comes to like makeup and costuming around that time of year. So Dad, if you want to drop in the chat like your favorite makeup look, I think the chat would love that. Let's see. Does it last all day? Neat brows for me. Any tips for subtle contouring? Sorry, excuse me. For subtle contouring, I would say try to focus on enhancing the natural shadows of your face. It's better to not create new shadows because the makeup will wear off. It could become patchy. It might look a little bit muddy. So for ladies, it used to be try to go along this line here. I think the best kind of rule of thumb would be to go just above it. It'll create a little bit of a higher contour, but it lasts a little bit longer and looks more natural. Should men sculpt their brows? I definitely think so, because I love it when Jade gets his brows done. By me, of course. I do this sometimes. I think when we have a photo shoot, I've done this for you before. Because you actually have really full, nice, pretty brows anyway. But this just gives them a little bit more shape. I don't know if the camera can pick up on that. There's a little bit more of an obvious shape here. Here it looks a little bit kind of like faded at the end. We're going to clean that up as well. Let's see. How does it feel getting your makeup done?
Ticklish.
Ticklish?
Yeah, it's tickled.
Do you want me to...
No, it's okay.
Push harder? Okay, let's see. Okay, so your eyebrows are sisters, not twins. They are similar, but not identical, and that's okay.
Thank you.
Well, I mean...
Thank you for the commentary. She's just roasting me live, y'all. You see this?
No, I mean, everybody's eyebrows are siblings. Sometimes they're cousins. Depends on whose brows we're doing. All right, I'm just going to clean these up a little bit here. I am going to go over this with my spoolie brush just to kind of make sure everything is really blended, really nice. Look at me. Yeah, I think that's enough. I don't think we need to do any more. I think with men's makeup specifically, a little bit less is typically more. I'm all for men's makeup personally. What is your opinion on it?
You know, it's not something that I would add to my morning routine because I heard something crazy that like women have like this 10-step makeup routine.
Yeah, usually.
So that also means it's a 10-step removal routine.
No,
right?
not
So
necessarily.
I can't picture myself like waking up half an hour earlier every morning to get makeup done and then half an hour before bedtime to get it removed. Like that's
It's not like that. Usually most makeup products, even if it's like powders or creams or eyebrows, it's usually a oil base. So the best thing you can do is just do like a gentle oil cleanse before you hop in the shower. Sometimes if it's really light makeup like a BB cream, even just a foaming cleanser works. So you've seen me like when I go to wash off my makeup, like I'll sometimes do the oil cleanser and then I'll wash my face with like the foaming cleanser typically. But it doesn't take me that much longer. Okay, so let's see. Facial skincare is so important. I have not tanned my face so much over the years. Great, Dad. Don't tan your face, guys, as much as you can. One thing I've kind of learned, and it took me a while to really adjust to, was not putting like a beauty preference on being and looking tan. I'm naturally a very fair person. But I've noticed over the years, like when I go back and look through photos of pictures when I was tanning, for me, my skin looked a little bit more weathered, a little bit older. And I actually really like the fact that like now that I am a little bit more pale, my skin looks healthier. So really stay out of the sun if you guys can. But if you do like that tan look, there's so many other ways that you can achieve it, even for the face. So for example, I recently bought this tanning drops solution. So you actually just mix it with your moisturizer and it tints your skin. That way you can still have that sort of nice tan, but without the sun damage. You like to tan a lot, though, I think. Let's see what my dad said. Halloween makeup is quite different. Of course, it's cheaper and more bold. I do occasionally use an astringent and pore minimizer along with moisturizing cream. My dad is on it. He's got the skincare game going. I love this no makeup look. Does it get hot in North Carolina? Yeah, it does get hot, but I think I'll never complain about heat again after living in Korea.
I'm struggling. I'm really struggling already.
Yeah. So now I'm going to do something a little bit more K-pop style-esque. Don't worry. I am going to put a little bit of an emphasis on your fat pads under here. This is called 애교살 in Korea. But basically, when you're putting an emphasis, look at the camera for me. When you put an emphasis on this little shadow right here, it kind of gives you this very youthful, doe-eyed like appearance, and it's considered very beautiful here. When they do it for women, they typically highlight it with some sort of glitter or powder. For Jay, all I'm going to do is take a little bit of that same contour shade so that it matches the other shadows on his face and just exaggerate it a little bit. I'm going to start with using my angled brush, and then from there we'll blend it out with this one. Okay. So look at me. So how does beauty standard, at least in South Africa and Korea, differ for men and women?
Oh God. I think for Korea, generally men should take care of their skin as well. They do like the even tone. They do like the laser removals for like freckles and pimples and scars and stuff like that. I have never seen a South African person, other than like maybe celebrities, remove scars and acne and discoloration on their skin with lasers like Korea. So very different. I would say in South Africa to be more like masculine's better. So the more rugged you are, the better. As opposed to Korea where rugged doesn't necessarily correlate or translate to more attractive for men.
I've noticed that as well. Even like when you're on the dating scene, not that you and I have been there in a while, but I feel like they always ask you what's your type. And if a girl likes a very masculine man, like with facial hair and big muscles, it's considered like, oh, like a manly man. But typically girls like pretty boys here.
Yeah.
So that kind of like more feminine style, I think is considered very attractive for men in Korea, actually.
So big boys like me generally don't get a lot of love.
Let's see, I'm just gonna blend it out here. How does it feel?
Ticklish?
Sometimes your eyes get kind of itchy when I do this part.
It's kind of...
All right, what do you guys think? How's it looking so far? Give me some honest feedback. Also, Chad, I'd be really curious to know what beauty standards for men are like in your country, and also what do you guys think about the Korean kind of uptake in men's beauty, specifically men's makeup? Because I don't see this trend happening as quickly in the States, for example. Because I think the definition of what it means to be beautiful in the States is so broad that there's not really an emphasis on one specific type of beauty, but for Korea, there's definitely a standard. It's like K-pop idols or like the reality show stars or the dramas and stuff like that.
I mean, I think that's only possible in Korea though, because if you really think about it, you know, the whole meme of like Asians all looking the same.
Yeah,
So
they do like the uniformity.
they kind of have like the same similar style, like same look. So of course that's possible. But in the West, I don't think that's as easy to achieve because there's always you know, different types of bone structure and like obviously skin tone and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a lot harder for them to assimilate into the whole skincare thing because one size fits all works in Korea, sure, because everyone's kind of more or less the same shade and tone and stuff like that. But in the US, I don't think they're going to pick up on that.
No, definitely not. I mean, I think it makes, look up for me. I think it makes sense that in the States, there's so much more variety. Not even just with like foundation shades and stuff like that, but with what you can do with makeup. Like the average makeup store has every color imaginable in the rainbow. But when you go to like Olive Young, for example, even with eyeshadows and stuff, it's not quite as varied, but it is very unique. Like the makeup that I can get here, I wouldn't be able to get back in the States and vice versa. But one thing I do really love about Korean makeup specifically, like especially these products, for example, this one actually is a lotion. It's hydrating, it's gonna have that SPF factor, and almost all of my products do as well. There's always some sort of like skin health care element to the makeup, which I really, really enjoy. So last step we're gonna do for Jay today, because you look wonderful. We're just gonna do some lips.
Did I balance it out?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did. I think it looks even. Look at me. Close. Chat, did I balance it out? I can't tell. There's a little bit of a shadow when he looks at me. All right, I'm just gonna put some chapstick on, and then we're gonna put a slight shade on your lips. Don't worry, it's not bad. You look great, I promise. Have I ever done your makeup bad before?
No.
All right. Quit whining. With some parts of Australia, we have a mindset, or we have to be mindful of the harsh sun. Yeah, I can definitely see why. The ozone layer there, I do believe, is a little bit thinner. Well, Koreanet, I probably would stay away from lipstick, but I'm sure some Korean men would. Korean men do actually wear lipstick a lot. I've actually commented on this with like dramas and stuff that we watch. They have these really rosy pink lips, and I'm just like, it looks great. It looks great on them, but it's just not what I would, you know, foresee like men doing every single day. Let's see, how to cover redness around the nose. Use a green tinted base. So whether that is a BB cream or some sort of color correcting concealer, any sort of green hues are gonna cancel out the redness. The best way to solve tonal issues is to look at a color wheel. For dark purple under eyes, you're gonna use the opposite color, vice versa with green and red. Let's see, it's completely different before and after makeup. Gotta keep it matte sometimes. Yeah, so that's another thing. I think in the West, they really love like a mattified look. In Korea, of course, you guys know that there's that like glass glowy skin, which is actually what you have today. Look at me. Okay, we're just gonna do a little bit of a shade. Part your lips for me, very good. You can tell you've had your makeup done before because you're just very, like, you know where I'm gonna go with this. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is a Korean style little lip tint, which is actually where they only put a tone on the inner portion of the lips. They don't really go outside and do a lip liner. Okay, and so I'm gonna put some chapstick over it and then I want you to rub, okay? Okay, so just a very, very light little rosy tint. You guys can maybe see it right there. There's a thin little line on the lips. Okay, let me go over it with chapstick and then I just want you to rub together, okay? Act like you gotta mix all of that around. All right, and that is my finished product.
Product. Rude.
No, my finished model. So let me know what you guys think about the makeup look. Let me know if there's anything that you guys would want to pick up on. I feel like this was pretty easy. I think the part that took the longest was probably the foundation, but in reality, you could very much just do this with your hands, right? But for the sake of the video, I wanted to try to blend it out a little bit better. All right, and what do you think? How you feeling?
Well, as someone that only used to put on all-in-one lotion and all-in-one skincare in general, it is a lot to take in. I don't know if I'd ever do this for myself necessarily. But at the end of the day, like we all sort of want to be seen as more attractive, and maybe skincare can be your number one step as well. So not just the gym, but your skin, and maybe you can stay looking younger for longer, which is kind of a good thing.
Why does everything end with a question mark?
Because I'm uncertain. I'm not convinced. But
well, I definitely think it's doable for those of you guys that are out there and you are interested in getting some makeup. Definitely check out this product. I think this is by far the biggest star of today because this made the biggest difference in my opinion. I'm sitting up close at least. But this is a very deeply hydrating, tone correcting sunscreen, basically. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you check out Be Ready. That would be considered a BB cream. And then for the brows, which is also one of my favorite parts of like men's makeup, I think it just really kind of sharpens the facial features. I think those two would be really easily adaptable because that whole portion only took like a couple minutes, I would say. So if you guys have like an event or something and you want to experiment with makeup a little bit, do it. I'm kind of all for whatever makes people happy. Like if you feel like makeup is something that you want to try, you feel like it would make you feel good, then go for it. I mean, it's obviously taking a lot of people by storm, the beauty industry by storm, especially over here for men. So maybe it'll make its way west. We'll see. We'll definitely see.
Eventually.
Yeah. Nice being pampered by Shannon's skincare skills.
Be
Are you sure about that? Because sometimes.
Yeah. You know what? Hold off on that.
Yeah, so sometimes when we're like, I'm doing his skincare and stuff, I really get in there. Like, I'm not sparing anybody, but look at the result. It looks great. Let's see, curled lashes and brighter eyes. I do see the enhancement, but it's not so harsh and noticeable that American men would be embarrassed. Very good point, Dad.
Thank you, Dad.
So I'm really hoping that at some point this kind of starts to, kick off other places, but...
At the very least, sunscreen. I don't do it myself, but the Korean sun is not as harsh as the American sun or the Australian sun. So I think for you guys, it applies a lot more. But it does do wonders. I have seen like a lot of people around me who don't wear any sunscreen and they age like
not well. We have to be very nice on this show. Anyway, so thank you guys for tuning in again. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for supporting Jay as well. You've done very well. Round of applause for Jay. So I don't know if we'll be having you back on for another episode in any time soon. Is there anything that you want to say to the viewers before we sign off?
So first and foremost, thank you so much for having me here. And secondly, please, please, please continue to support Shannon in all her endeavors. Yes, she's my wife, but she's an amazing human being. And I really think that she can spread the best information as far as K-beauty goes, like cosmetics go, or even just Korea in general goes to you guys as well. So please follow her on Instagram. And sponsors, you know what to do.
Oh. I don't know about all that. But anyway, thank you so much for being here, Jay. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. If you guys have any questions, you know the drill. Leave it in the comment section down below. Or you guys can DM me over on Instagram, and I'll try my best to answer those questions as well. We will see you guys next week, same time, 6 p.m. I love you guys. Have a great night. Bye.